Hello everyone, my name is TheMadScorpyon and welcome to another This Week in Destiny for September the 19th. So getting into it, surprisingly enough, we do have a bit of abilities tuning that we're talking about, as well as power increase and some changing loot ahead for the next episode of Revenant. So getting into the week, we have more dev insights coming next week. I imagine on Wednesday, September 25th, a new article delivered directly from the developers, answering some questions you had about Conan Frontiers. And there is a hub article in case you wanted to see the other three, but we will have more news coming regarding the upcoming feature of Destiny. Now, some rewards changes. The first is Nightfalls and Nightfall weapons. Now, right here is basically a breakdown of how the new version will run. With this change, non-adept Nightfall weapons are now guaranteed to drop when completing a Platinum run and Master Nightfall. So it doesn't have to be chance. If you wanted to farm the basic, you only have to go Master, and even with a 50% chance to drop them on a gold completion, no longer just the random drop chance. In addition, adept weapons will drop from Grandmaster Nightfalls have been slightly increased when getting the gold, because I know with a lot of GM completions, when you're just going for the finish, eventually one or two champions might get missed, depending if you're not doing the full clear. But then in addition to that, the Platinum, of course, remains the best course of action, because it is always a guaranteed drop on Grandmaster getting a Platinum champion kills. Now, for Nightfall focusing, they're changing some cost. Now, they say they're reworking how it will work too. They basically say right here, a minor update in regards to Nightfall weapons. The weekly featured Nightfall weapon and the Adept version have been moved to a new featured category with updated costs. I don't know if that means there's going to be there's a weekly one and then the rest of them are just available. They might just be rotating around and relocating in the menu. Regardless, the basic Nightfall weapon for the week will just require a Vanguard engram and one Nightfall cipher, which it originally did not. That's just a little bit disappointing. It's cheaper in engrams, but more expensive in ciphers, which if you could earn them from not Grandmasters, I wouldn't mind that, but you have to get them from Grandmasters, so a little bit iffy. However, the weekly Adept Nightfall is only 1 engram, 50k Glimmer, and 10 Nightfall ciphers, which if I'm remembering correctly, that is exactly how it was before, but regardless. Now with Revenant, I believe this is tuning as some of the world drop exotics are going into the Lost Sectors for next episode. Now, they are telling us here some of the stuff and variety of names and groups for where weapons are going. If you wish to dedicate some time, basically, this is all the Foundry weapons, the Gunsmith weapons, the old faction weapons that have been brought back and forth. I can tell from the Domino because I know there's currently a world drop. I imagine this is just the list of weapons and daily rotations that will be active next season or episode again when new stuff gets out of the pool and old stuff rotates back into the Lost Sectors. So if that is your interest, be sure to check that out. However, power in Destiny, again, with the new season and the new system, power is a little bit different. So they are going back to the initial 10 power each season, or again, episode, with Revenant on October 8th, excuse me. The power, how it will work, the floor is 1900, so everything will be 1900. The soft cap, where any gear will get you further, is 1950. The powerful cap, where you will require powerful rewards, will take you all the way to 2000. And pinnacle cap will go all the way to 210. Currently, we are powerful cap at 1990, and we pinnacle at 2000, just so you know. Now, getting into some of the changes, going through each class specifically. I'll try to blow through these without the reasoning and give some context where needed. Now, going forward, the Unbreakable will, as they call Titans. They did some reinforcement that allows it to enhance its aggro and taunt abilities, where the basic Titan barricade will now taunt enemies in front of the barricade, and the taunt only occurs when there's a player standing behind the barricade, so it won't just, look at the barricade over everything else when that is kind of pointless. Now, from there, the Unbreakable Shield and Sentinel Shield Guard will also taunt enemies, so there is more ways than just one that you can take the damage, and same with Unbreakable Shield. That is very handy because I know many a times I have the Unbreakable Shield up intending to absorb damage and dish it back out, but just the enemies just don't shoot me. And hopefully adding this functionality to more things like the Ward of Dawn in the future. But then, next, the Towering Barricade and Rally Barricade for all subclasses. They've reduced its non-boss combatant damage dealt by the barricade by 50%, so random adds, just focus firing, won't be enough to absolutely murder the barricades. Then increase splash damage reduction from combatants from players behind the barricade from 20 to 60%, so you're a little more explosive resistant, as well as barricades now granting moderate damage resistance during combatants during the cast animation, so you are less likely to die while casting. Then for Unbreakable specifically, the damage blocked by Unbreakable now generates grenade energy. It also increased the max rotation the shield can be held. Forward movement speed now slows down briefly when the shield is shot. The reduced Unbreakable throw attack damage versus players by 20. I'm assuming that's just a mitigation. And they also increased damage bled through from players by 15%, so I assume it means it's not so powerful in terms of saving damage. And fully charged Unbreakable attacks will now one-shot barricades in PvP, except when the barricade is under the effects of Heart and Bone Slight, which I think is the only real way to improve barricade health. Now, next, Void Overshield. Increased Void Overshield PvE damage resistance from 50 to 70%. This increases maximum effective HP from 90 to 150. I approve. Consecration. Scorch and Slam Waves will now shatter stasis crystals. Same for Diamond Lance. Thrown or slammed will now also shatter stasis crystals. Slamming Diamond Lances will grant you passive stacks of Frost Armor. Now, they don't specify. I am assuming they talk about it here just because it's prismatic. I'm assuming this will work specifically with Diamond Lance on the Prismatic Titan, which will be very nifty, just because I know Diamond Lance is really powerful there, but not so much on Behemoth Titan. They also changed the weapon tray HUD to display how many seconds are remaining before Diamond Lance disappears to make it like a Tangle. Knockout. They adjusted in PvE, so melee kills now cancel health and shield stun in addition to healing, allowing you to immediately start regenerating. This is a revert of a previous change that had too much of a negative effect on PvE, although 100% I'm not sure how many people actually use Knockout for PvE. These Shiver Strikes, some changes that feel very well worth it. Now attach a stasis explosive to the target on impact. The detonation slows players and will freeze combatants fully. Refunds 80% of the melee on a whiff, aka if you don't contact with anything. They increase the enemy energy recharge rate by 12.5%, and immediately after landing a Shiver Strike, the attacker's melee ability is now suppressed for 5 seconds to reduce the instance of you running into a target and it immediately meleeing you back, and I imagine killing you if you were low health. Now, as well, the Facet of Command and Echo of Domineering. I don't remember what these do specifically, but major cooldown reduction from 11 to 4 seconds. So if it's something you use, keep that in mind. You will be able to use it a lot more. And as well, a little bit of a change based on just the idea of Titans being the punchers. The basic unpowered melee now has increased damage against players by another 5%, so it's just barely spicier than every other class. And increased damage against PvE combatants by 20%, as well as increasing the stun multiplier, so it should reel and send enemies reeling back from your punches a little bit more consistently. Next, into Warlocks. The Stormtrance increased damage resist by 5% in terms of PvE, I imagine. Chaos Reach increased damage resistance by 10%. Fixed an issue where Chaos Reach would not jolt at high frame rates, and fixed an issue where Chaos Reach would not go through Sentinel Shield Guard or a Titan's Barricade. Interesting. For Nova Warp, another PvE damage increase. Increases resistance by 7%, and now any Nova Warp detonation applies volatile regardless of charge rotation. That's a nice little mix. Although, oh, this is supers in general. The Hunter, Golden Gun, Marksman, and Deadshot increased damage against base, elite, and mini-boss combatants by 30%. Interesting. The Spectral Blades themselves, damage increase in PvE by 20%, as well as damage resistance up by 11%. Who even uses them in PvE? Real talk. For Titans, the Glacial Quake. Howl of the Storm can be used while Glacial Quake is active. Oh, okay, so you can do an uppercut and slide melee. That's nifty. As well, for Twilight Arsenal, thrown action projectiles and more consistent tracking towards targets closer to the reticle. Accurate tracking, please and thank you. Increased Twilight Arsenal's axe relic damage by combatants by 23%. Nice. The Thunder Crash increased base detonation damage by 33%, and Fist of Havoc increased damage resistance by 7%, changed how the light attack works under the hood to improve consistency in hitting targets, and slightly increased light attack damage, lunge range, and ability to target enemies vertically. For Act 2 of Revenant, we're investigating increasing roaming super uptime so they're more often viable. When you need them, stay tuned for that. Now, Space Lightning and Sharp Knives. I'm assuming this is melee abilities. For Stormcrawlers, Lightning Surge. The Warlock casting Lightning Surge now has a 50% damage resistance versus Titan barricades during the lunge. Weird phrasing there. And casting Lightning Surge also makes you amplified. Nice. The Hailfire Spike Prismatic Grenade. Added projectile tracking and aim assist to increase consistency in hitting targets. The Threaded Spectre increased detonation damage against PvE combatants by 33%. The Swarm Grenades. These submunitions are now easier for players to shoot down. Swarm Grenade submunitions can now chain detonate other submunitions when destroyed. Interesting. On the PvE side, Combination Blow rescaled healing from a flat 80 per kill to 100, 80, 60, and 40 per kill based on stack count. Interesting. No longer clears health and shield stun on kill, and remove the second and a half internal cooldown on healing. Okay, so that's interesting. There is now a unique and setup way, so you can get less health if it's just trash ads, and you also don't get as much heal immediately, so maybe they just killed tanking combination blow. But then again, they did remove the cooldown, so it is more often in its triggering. So it's taken please. It's not just more potent, but it's more constant. So we'll just have to see how that works. Now, as a wrap-up, that's all the combat gameplay team has to share today. Hard on the future releases, and we're more optimistic than ever about the future of Destiny in the sandbox. Excited to take big swings, make dramatic changes, deliver new innovations in short term. We're hoping you're looking forward to Revenant as much as we are. So it seems like these are Revenant changes looking forward. Again, I don't think these are updates coming out before then, but just keep in mind with that. Now, the pre-order of the Ace of Spades replica. Yes, player who earned the Legend title will have access to the pre-order of the Ace of Spades Blaster through September 24th at 10 a.m. Pacific. Head over to Bungie store to get the full details on the offer. And, I was going to say something about the issues. Oh, acknowledged credit Topher for their art, which, yeah, they acknowledged it, but at the same time, I feel like just because Bungie IP and everything, I'm on the side that says he made art of somebody else's product. It's not like he can exactly claim art credit, but then again, I'm pretty sure it wasn't Bungie that stole the art. I'm fairly certain it was Nerf that stole the art anyways, but you know, I'm just keeping my hands off this topic. But yeah, credit to this guy for making a very cool looking art of the gun. At the same time, just moving on, ignoring that, the art show that Destiny was putting on, I believe this was the one in New York that was going on. It is lots of ghost shells and art concept posters, which honestly all looks quite fantastic in every aspect that I can see. The artists that put their work into this did it quite well, especially some cosplayers that showed up, because I can tell that's old Midnight Siege and stuff. However, of course, it has come and gone. There is the Bungie Foundation at TwitchCon and Bounty for Good. In case you wish to donate in person, you will get the Magnetasonic that word waves emblem if you wish to donate in person. Keep in track as well with Child's Play if you wish to get the Bounty of Good emblem, which I imagine that is that right there. Then there is a comp that Bungie has put out. It is 10 years of Destiny 2 and Orbit music. So if you would have liked to just hang out and have the Orbit music elsewhere, you can go ahead and do that. Although personally, my only gripe is that it is the basic sitting on the tower thing. I wish it was the title screens from every respective season just so you could tell exactly where it came from. I know mentally all of us know where it comes from, but I do wish they had been title screens of each era of Orbit music, let me just say. But there is over an hour and 38 of different tracks, which looking at them, that's Vanilla Destiny, I imagine, Courtesan, Taken King, I think. It's just hard to say with some of these names because they're just random names in Destiny fashion. But I know that was definitely Curse of Osiris, that is Warmind, I imagine Thin Line, and man, the Colcade is obviously Forsaken, all the Elixir, you know, a lot of these other names, I imagine, as they get closer and closer, of course, Deep Sun Lullaby and everything else like that. But again, I would just like the title screens from each associate era that came for it. Now, the player support report and bug report. The Skywatch has increased enemy density. The update will arrive next Tuesday in case you're working on that title for Legend and just would like some extra progress. Same with the Solstice Forge. There was an issue where the Forge disappeared from some inventories. It will be fixed on next Tuesday's update. Aside from that, there is some awesome looking retro style turn-based RPG, I think is the phrase of this type of game idea. But yeah, some Atrax Fallen XO art from some classic little Game Boy looks. And as well a video of a solo Master Nezarec. Of course, Prismatic Titan, for all of you who said the Prismatic Titan is the worst of Prismatic. With that though, check out this Moondang inspired ghost. If you don't know who Moondang is, it's another pygmy hippo that was just born, I believe, in China. I forget, or Indonesia. Sorry to sound insensitive, but it's one of the Asian countries out in that side of the world. I just forget exactly which one in particular. But with that, my name is TheMadScorpyon, and I will see you in the next video.